Okay, so welcome to our video on the concept of implied odds in poker. Now, when most people start off learning about poker, they learn about the concept of pot odds and how the odds on offer based on how much you have to put into the pot should dictate most of your decisions in poker. Like, for example, if you've got aces versus kings, or if you've got kings versus aces, for example, you're only a 20% shot to win the pot. But if there's $100 in there and you only have to put in one, then it's a good bet. Even though you're behind, making that $1 bet is a profitable one because you're a better than a 100 to 1 shot to win the hand. So next after pot odds comes the concept of implied odds. So we need to go a little bit beyond just what's in the pot. We also think about what we can win from our opponent's stack if we hit our hand. So to illustrate this concept, I'm just going to take a hand from my own Hold'em Manager database here and go through it and illustrate the concept to you. So this guy, XAV, raises here, and he's got this is a 25-cent, 50-cent no limit Hold'em game. He's got about $62 in his stack, or 62 euros in his stack to start off the game. I've got 94 in mine, so I decide to call with my pocket nines, hoping sort of best case that I hit a set of nines, and he's got pocket aces and the board comes 9 high. He can't fold his aces, and basically I take his entire stack. So if we look at sort of the maths of the situation here, I've done just a little couple of lines of writing just to illustrate what I'm talking about here. So we hit a set about 12% of the time normally, so we need odds of about 7 to 1 to justify calling with a pocket pair to try and hit a set and stack an overpair. So if you look in the top corner of the window here, you can see that when he makes his raise, it's just gone a bit strange there. Okay, yeah, so when he makes his raise before I call, I'm only getting pot odds of 1.5 to 1 as it says up in the top right hand corner there. So let me go back to my PowerPoint. So we're getting direct pot odds of 1.5 to 1. We need to call $1.50, which was his raise, to win $2.25, which is the sum of his raise and his and the blinds that are in the pot already. So what we can take into account then, obviously this 1.5 to 1 isn't enough to justify our call when we need 7 to 1 based on how often we're going to hit a set. But we take into account those times where he can fold pocket aces on a 9 high board, then we can think about the fact that we have implied odds of 41.6 to 1 when we factor in all the money that we can win from his stack those times where we hit and he doesn't fold. So we need to, if we consider that his whole stack is giving us odds, basically we need to call $1.50 to win his whole stack plus the blinds. So we're getting over 40 to 1, which is much better than the 7 to 1 that we need to make the call. Okay, so in this case the flop comes down 9-5-2 with a flush draw. XAV, the pre-flop raiser, bets about 2/3 of the pot, and obviously we have our set now, so we're happy. But we want to move fast because there are some straight draw and flush draw possibilities on this board. So I raise, he 3-bets me, I go all in, he calls, and he turns over ace jack. So in this case he didn't have an overpair, he had the nut flush draw and he missed it. So I held up and I did in fact win his whole stack. So that was a case where I factored in my implied odds before the flop to make the call with pocket nines to try and hit a set and win his whole stack, and it worked. One thing to be careful of though when you're evaluating your implied odds, just beware of the type of player. If you look at my stats here, you can see that this guy's 26-20, meaning he plays 26% of his hands and raises 20 of them, so he's quite aggressive. And against these type of players, you tend to overestimate your implied odds. So this guy's going to have a rubbishy hand very often when he raises pre-flop. And oftentimes you'll flop your set and he'll just bet once and give up when you raise because he's got such a weak hand range. So you have to be careful not to overestimate your implied odds. The times where you're going to stack a player like this are extremely rare. Whereas if a really tight player, like someone who plays 10-9, opens under the gun, then your implied odds are much better because the chances that they have a high pocket pair are extremely high, and the chances that they're going to fold it on a fairly innocuous looking board are extremely low. So that's basically an introduction to implied odds when it comes to fishing for a set pre-flop with a pocket pair.